We're 6:29.
Okay, roll.
Go ahead.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's Board of Ed meeting for action 1.02, approve the agenda. Can I have somebody move that, please?
Move it. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? 500. 600. Mr. Crandall is unable to meet with us this evening. Okay. In the event of an emergency, we have an exit here behind myself, or we can exit out of the library doors and go to either the right or the left and move away from the building. Would you please join me this evening for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There is nobody signed up for public forum this evening.
I'm sorry.
We're going to need someone to move item 1.06 to approve the meeting minutes from August 22nd.
Move it. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. Under our President's report this evening, 2.01, we have our upcoming meetings. We are going to also talk about the resolution for NYSBA's timeline. I think tonight we should all have in front of us, sorry, Brian, the 2023 proposed resolutions. So we can take some time to kind of go over and look at those. There will be a resolution on Google Docs sent out to us around the 19th. If you guys can fill that out, our deadline for that will be on the 5th. We will then come back and survey the results, and they will be ready to go for the meeting on the 16th. And I believe that Mr. DeJolorme, you're doing the virtual meeting on the 16th?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on that? Sure we can. So was there any questions under our timeline for those resolutions? Okay, if you still are interested in the convention, you have not done so, please let Mrs. Perry know so that she can get that in. All right, so we're going to back up just a little bit to our public forum. We have Mr. Stephen Becker who would like to address the board.
Yeah,
welcome
thank
this
you.
evening.
Good evening. I went to the board meeting at the high school.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
and so a few minutes later.
Well, I'm glad you found us.
Kind of difficult, no signs on that. I came here tonight, I'd like to speak about Battle of the Books. I've been here before with my students, they participated in that for quite a few years. So I'm a big proponent of the Battle of the Books, and like nothing better than for it to get sorted out a little bit. If you see the copies of what I gave you, I had a little bit of an email exchange this past summer. You can follow that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to read it to you. I guess I only got a limited time. I'm hoping that I'll be invited back to talk more about this. Perhaps you can copy that. I'm looking for some answers.
Okay.
So I got the person who's listed on the website to contact. She redirected me to an Allison Combs who supposedly had the answers. So I asked who chooses the books, how they're chosen. So I get a whole complicated process of how we go about choosing it. And then on the website is something different. But she said, well, we'd like you to talk to the committee. So I asked some specific questions that were never answered. That basically why some of the books are the way they are. They're not in line with what my ideals are, but with the whole inclusion process and everything. But she went on to say how the students had input into this, and librarians and all this and that. Now, my students have participated for quite a few years, and they do pretty well at it. They've never been consulted, much less according to what she said there, they've been consulted. So the end result was she kind of blew me off and said, any questions further, we can't answer for you, you have to talk in your district.
Okay.
Here we are. Okay, so not trying to badmouth librarians, I don't want this to be construed as me trying to ban books or anything like that. I'm a big proponent of the battle of the books. But something needs to be looked at here. You got some outside groups involved with national groups with giving selections for these books. They say students were involved in the selection. Like my one student, he's one of 7 that participated in junior high school last year. This year, he'll be one of 2 to participate in the high school. So if these kids haven't even been consulted in 6 years for the one guy, 4 years for the other guy, who's deciding these books? They have some interest outside of the community who's making some decisions on this here, and yet parents have no say, or the students have no say. All right, there's in those copies of stuff, I challenge you folks to look at what the books are, okay, and to look at who the groups are who's choosing some of this stuff. All right, and come up with those answers that I asked Allison Combs. I hope I'm invited back again. Like I say, I'm a big proponent of the battle of the books. I think it's a great thing, and it should be furthered, but in the same breath, it needs to be straightened out a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Stephen,
Thank
could we
you.
get your phone number on here as well so we can contact?
I could. I didn't bring a pad. I'm running around like a...
No, just if you could, thank you. Appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just want to make sure we get it.
Yeah, I was going to ask for that myself, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys have, well, we've spoken before, like I said. I'm
We
looking
see
for
each other
that.
almost every morning.
So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I'll leave you 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Excuse me?
All right. So I guess with that, we will move on to the superintendent's report. Mr. Palvino, when you're ready.
Thank you. Brenda. Got a couple of minutes.
Yep, I didn't actually read them out loud, but I could. We talked about,
The community would want to attend
we have the safety and the policy meeting, they're not normally, they're normally virtual, and the next Board of Ed meeting will be September 26th. Okay, thank you, Mr. Dieterborn.
Great. Well, when you walked in today, good evening, everybody, and happy new school year. Behind me, if you didn't notice, these are the photos taken by City BOCES, and they've been flashing up there since you got here. And I think they tell the story of the first couple days of school. And so what you'll see is pictures all except GRB. He hadn't uploaded them as of this afternoon. But we'll turn those all into a compilation of all of the photos. It's the junior high that you're seeing up there right now from opening day. So I think it tells 1,000 words, because as you see the kids' faces and you see the excitement getting off the bus and the anticipation of the first 2 days of school, it's pretty powerful just watching the photographs. And it reminds us of why we're here each and every day, because there's a lot of fun faces and the kids they were very excited. So I want to start off by saying it seems like we've gotten out of the blocks very well. A lot of positive feedback. Been out in front of a couple of buildings at arrival and dismissal, so I've had a chance to interact with some parents, kids, and on top of that, we had a great visit. And I'd ask Tim and Nick and Jen to add in if there's anything you'd add to them, but we had some great visitations. Last Thursday we went to GRB, Lanigan, and Volney. And on Friday we went to Fulton Junior High, Granby, and Fairgrave. And everybody wasn't able to go to all of the sites, Well, Nick went to all 6. But the others, I just want, if any board members want to comment on those visits, I could talk about, how positive they were, but Tim or Nick or Jen, anything you'd add to that day? I'm not putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely great. Every classroom that we entered, kids were engaged and they were going through expectations for the school year. And it was really neat to walk into the different classrooms to see what their approach was. We had people that crunching up with paper and having a snowball fight, and then like reading like a getting to know you game. Like there was like so many different like icebreakers going on with marshmallows and noodles, and it was neat. So I think we're off to a good start. I can speak for the high school and the junior high. I was able to do those two, and it was nice to see what was going on in the classrooms.
Thank you.
Yep.
The classes were full, which was a nice surprise. Very few empty desks, and some of the ones that were empty, they were at a special or something. Yeah, a lot of smiles. I found it interesting at how different the personalities of the teachers, they brought that to their rooms, which I thought was really nice. So just about each room was different that we walked into.
I think the positive vibe, but also the behavior. I know every room we walked into, from our littlest of littles to pre-K, they were all attentive, they were all quiet, sitting, no one was running around the new room, no one was screaming. It was really impressive to see how ready these kids were to come back to school and ready to learn. You don't always get that, so especially the first couple of days with the craziness, and I have to say, not being able to see it, but being able to hear it all, I was really impressed, and I know it was something that Mr. Palvino was pointing out, just wowed by, again, like we said, class size, people ready to learn, and people being on their best behavior.
Well, thank you. It's always good to hear from you and get different eyes and lenses on what we're seeing. I want to say our transportation department, I told you on Friday, 5:12 on Thursday, 4:45 on Friday. Monday was 4:45, and today was 4:45. Our normal time is 4:40. So I'm impressed. Thank you to the transportation department for that. Food services, we had one little glitch with a milk delivery with a broke down truck from our vendor the other day, but then we've worked through that, and we have a whole plan now in place to address those kinds of things. I just can't extend to our staff. Every member of this staff, our teachers, all the classroom staffs, our administrators, our maintenance, our custodial, every part of this organization looked great and ready to roll. And it showed, and for us, this is the best, knock on wood, because now I'll jinx myself, best transportation year that we've had. We normally have 5:30, 5:40 on the first couple of days of school, and to say we were that close we had 2 kids left at 5 o'clock on Friday. So it's or Thursday rather, I'm sorry. And we've done quite well. So I'm very impressed. I think we've done a great job getting onto the blocks. And as I said, the photographs, what we'll do is we'll put those as a compilation so they're with the board's things this evening as well. But we got those this afternoon, and the faces tell the story. They are amazing. So we'll let that run this evening. We'll put that up there. And then finally, Jerry had the opportunity this morning. She was meeting with our elementary curriculum committee. And Dom, if you could put that other one up there. Sure. And it was just this morning. If you want to explain what you did this morning,
Sure.
So you can tell them what they're going to see.
So we try to follow our SEL signature practices by beginning every one of our meetings with a welcoming ritual to get us oriented to our learning. And so the ritual was, share one lesson you've already learned from your students so far this school year. And this is the results.
And we'll post this as well so the public can see it as well.
Are these statements?
Oh, they can live up to our expectations and will if we can show them. Thank you, Tim. Having a big heart can have a big impact. Kids will learn from you if they trust you. It's okay to take things slowly. We're a classroom family. It will all work out. It is hard to work when you're tired and hungry. Note to self, milk is important on Monday morning. We can communicate a lot without words. Kids are seeking our love and attention. Students crave structure more than we realize. Patience. Not all students know the expectations and need some, okay, many reminders. And not all students come to us with what they need for success. And some of us need a little bit more than others. It is important to laugh a lot. Teacher, what is your mom's name? Student, mommy. Teacher, well played, kid. Well played. I have learned everything I need to know about how it is going. They are showing me. It's September again. We need more bathroom reminders than we did in June. Some things that may seem small to a teacher, you need a calculator as soon as possible, can feel huge to a child. I need a calculator tonight. You belong here. It is safe to speak up here, and what we do is important. The year ahead is looking bright. That's it. Right. So it was great. And then this afternoon, Jerry did the same thing with the secondary teachers from the Secondary Curriculum Council. We didn't get a chance to type those in, but very similar sentiments and things that they have learned from kids, and the power really in engagement and in relationships. And that's really our emphasis. So we need to stay at it and keep the course with that, because it starts there. If they're engaged and excited to be there, that's the first step in learning great things. So. Jerry, you want to do an update with respect to our enrollment figures?
Sure. As of Friday evening, our enrollment was at 3,098 for K through 12, with 138 enrolled UPK students for a total of 3,236. Our K6 enrollment is 1,586. 7th and 8th grade is at 495, and our high school stands at 1,017. We do have 15 students on a UPK wait list, which is prompting our decision to open that afternoon class that we've kind of had on hold. So that will be, you'll be hearing more about that in the next week or two, about when we can get those students started in
And the location
that class.
looks like Granby.
At Granby, yes. So Mrs. Gates has reached out to all the families who are on the waiting list to ask if they'd be interested in a PM program. Until a full day option was available. Most of them wanted full day anyway, but for now we're going to get them started in an afternoon program and see where we go from there.
So we closed at 3,069 and now we're at 3,098. So we're actually in higher enrollment than we ended our school year at. The high school hovered below 1,000 last year all year. So to hear we're at 1,017, that's actually the largest we've been in a couple of years. So
We enrolled 17 students between last week and this week.
Because we were sitting right around 1,000 early last week. So it's good news is we seem to be picking our enrollment back up. It didn't fall as much as it did the year before, or the 50 that we generally have. So we'll continue to monitor that. We're still getting requests from other districts for records. So obviously that will continue on until Beds Day. Beds Day is the magic day early in October. So good to hear. Thank you, Jerry. And with that, are there any questions? I want to extend an invitation. I said it to Nick the other day, but anytime anybody wants to walk through buildings, take a tour, just let us know. Let me know, and we'll get you in there and let you walk through, and you can see it, because you may have time that, all of a sudden frees up for you. So take advantage if you have that opportunity. I will tell you, it's very powerful. They so appreciate it walking through. They love the feedback. The kids like it too. They really take it in, and kids in different ways, all three of you, and all 6 or all 7 of you do. So it's really.
Can I make a really quick comment? Oh my gosh, food service. I love food. Walking in to the junior high and the high school, it was pretty impressive, because it's all fresh and it's all locally imported to us, or we get it from local vendors. And when Allison, my daughter, is really super picky, she was she eats the school lunch every day, and it's really good. The salads, the fruit, everything. The parfaits, I guess they have it. I didn't see those, but yeah, it was really good. It looked really good, very fresh. So shout out to our food service people and whoever's in charge of ordering and stuff, because yeah, it doesn't look like that in many schools, I don't think.
So thank you, and I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun walking through. It was warm. And it was fun, but I looked on my pedometer, I logged over 6 miles walking through the schools on those 2
Bet you
days.
did.
So, thank you, so that means you did too. And with that, we're gonna turn it over to Dr. Lisi and Ms. DiBiase.
Well, thank you, Mr. Provino. Actually, I'll turn it over to Ms. DiBiase. We'd like to talk about the potential of adding a health insurance reserve fund. So we'll share that information with you. Ms. DiBiase? Absolutely.
A little bit of water,
So thank you for having me here today. I'm really excited about this opportunity for our district. And before we start going through what the process is, I wanted to talk a little bit about what a health insurance reserve is and why for our district it could be a uniquely powerful financial planning tool for us. So the health insurance reserve is basically, like most of our reserves, you think of it as a savings account for us. And why don't we have one now is really because New York State statute currently does not allow school districts to establish an insurance reserve for the purposes of health insurance costs. However, for school districts who are self-insured, which we are, New York State has, on a case-by-case basis, given approval to establish one of these reserves. So what does being self-insured mean for us is, when you think of health insurance, we're paying as a district the actual costs of that health insurance plan. We're doing that ourselves versus going out to a vendor like Blue Cross Blue Shield and we're paying a flat rate based on if it's a family plan or something like that. So in our district, we take all of those costs in-house and we pay the real cost of providing health services to all of our employees and their families. So why does New York State approve on a case-by-case basis reserves for people who are self-insured, for districts who are self-insured? Really because paying those costs and paying the real costs brings in a lot of risk for the district. And we saw this past year. So previously in the 21-22 school year, we had a great insurance year. And we ended with a bit of a surplus. And then in 22-23, our costs swung into millions of dollars because we had people who needed to use their insurance more, which is what it's there for. And in the long term, being self-insured does save us money, but the purpose of potentially establishing that reserve would be so that when we do have those high cost years, we can handle those spikes a little better without it interrupting anything that we provide for our students or staff. So really quick, I wanted to just go through, for some of our important stakeholder groups, what are the benefits of establishing this reserve and what does it look like for each of those members? So as I said, for the district, over time, we would be able to recognize substantial savings. And that means that for our employees, our plan tends to be more generous than other insurance plans because we can help keep those costs down a little bit and continue to offer more. For the taxpayers, over time, having a self-insured plan has been shown to have a reduced impact on the tax levy, which means that if we're spending less money on our health insurance, we can offer more to our students. It also provides us fiscal stability, so being able to weather those cliffs and those lean years, which means that we can provide more stability in our staffing and what we're offering in benefits to our employees. And it also reduces the likelihood of potential spikes in our tax levy if we expect to have a high-cost insurance year. And then lastly, in times of fiscal stress, being able to have this piggy bank would reduce the likelihood of a lean year affecting student programming because we're paying for those higher insurance costs. And then lastly, being able to have this savings account would help us with our cash flow. So being able to plan better for the future, investing those funds in the meantime until they're necessary to be used. And it would allow us to continue using our current rate method. So something that's a little different in our district is that employees pay the actual real cost of the plan in the prior year. So we don't set an estimated rate. They pay that real cost of work added previously, which is great. It does mean that in the meantime, if the plan last year cost $8 million and it costs 11 this year, we basically on a cash basis need to pay that difference to ensure that we can keep offering those benefits. Again, a reduced impact potentially to the tax levy, so if we need to fund the plan when we don't have, for example, our state aid payments don't start up until September, it reduces the likelihood of needing to issue any sorts of short-term debt to be able to get there. And of course, a reduced chance of program interruptions in the event that we have a high-cost year and we need to ensure that we stay within that over budget. So hopefully, this tool would allow us to move forward with planning in the long term for that sustainability that we've been talking about, because that self-insured plan is fantastic. I'll tell you, it's a Cadillac health insurance plan. It's really great, and we'd love to make sure that we can keep offering it for a long time. So on the next slide, just briefly, if you, the black line is a small slope that shows the trend over time. So health insurance costs do tend to increase over time, but what you can see is, for example, in 1920, our costs skyrocketed, and then in 21-22, we had a sharp decline. So with it being self-insured, we're actually able to recognize those cost savings in district versus those being absorbed by an insurance company. And what this health insurance reserve would allow us to do is, in a year like 1920, where we have huge health insurance costs, we will be able to say, we're going to use this reserve so that we don't have to do any cuts to any benefits, programs, sharp increases to the tax levy, anything like that. So just another tool in our toolbox to help us make sure that we can be sustainable moving forward. And what the process looks like for this is advocacy with our local legislature. So our local assemblyman, Mr. Barclay, would hopefully help us out by sponsoring an amendment to the existing law. That would then go through for approval by the legislature and the governor. Once we do receive the authorization to have this health insurance reserve, the Board of Education would be required to establish a health insurance reserve policy. And then from there, the reserve would be generated by a board resolution. Once that approval is received, it's actually written into law by name. So we would be listed as an authorized entity to have this reserve, and it's a one-time thing. We would be authorized in perpetuity unless the law changes. So this would be, I think, a very good move for us to ensure that we can continue anticipating those lean years. We've had some very good years financially, very recently, but I think that being able to make sure that we have these funds accessible and to be able to use them for this authorized purpose would help us out a lot. Our health insurance is one of our largest costs, and it's a great program that we have. It's a great benefit, and this would help us be able to continue offering that. Does anyone have any questions?
What's the goal for initial investment in the fund?
So the plan that's been approved by New York State in the past authorizes up to 55% of plan costs, I believe. It's either 50, 55. For us, that would mean a maximum funding amount of about $6 million. Our swing that we saw in 22-23, is approximately $3 million. So that would basically give us, if we were to fully fund it, 2 years, 2 spike years that we could accommodate without really needing to redesign any program in our offering. So initially, provided the approval is received and we move forward with this, we would not be filling to that maximum level, but it would be something that, if we end the year with surplus, if we do have a good year and we're able to get things at a very good price, we could take those funds and put that into this reserve to be able to accommodate those 5 years later on.
And that's from the entire budget, not specific to the healthcare.
Correct, yeah, so any district surplus at the end of the year, and there, because the maximum funding level is based on costs, over time, as our health insurance costs increase, it'll help us keep pace with those so that we're not having to seek reauthorization once we get to that higher level.
And that would be part of the meeting each year when we talk about this is where we're going to redistribute those surpluses, for example, TRS, ERS.
Yes, exactly. And one of the things that we would also be putting together is a 5-year plan, a long-range plan. so that we can plan out what our expected growth in expenditures is and where those surplus funds would be best used. So some years it may not be the health insurance reserve, but it would at least put it as an option for us if we are, for example, expecting that the next budget season we might have a spike. They tend to come around every 4 or 5 years, so they're relatively predictable, but being able to incorporate that into the budget is sometimes difficult because we do run a pretty tight margins.
At this point, if we're going to move forward, is that something we have to decide as a board, and would that be a formal resolution? Because I know you said if it were accepted by the state, we move forward with policy and then we would pass that along. So what would our next step be in this process if there was something we were seeking to pursue?
So right now, there's no formal authorization required by the Board of Education. In the interest of transparency, I wanted to make sure that everybody had all the information. Our next step in this process would be to get in touch with Mr. Barclay and start seeking those advocacy efforts at the state level. From there, special legislation would be introduced to amend the existing legislation, and then we would have to go through basically the whole process of getting the bill being made into law. So it is just an amendment, it's not a new legislation, but it does take, we spoke to another district who got through this and said about 6 to 8 months. So that's part of the reason why we wanted to get ahead of this in the beginning of the school year before that legislative session gets going.
So is this something we are already pursuing then? And you were just giving us the update on that?
We haven't taken any action. I wanted to make sure that this is something that we're all interested in. But that next step would be, just getting in touch and seeking the help of our legislature.
Informally, should we just, like, talk about it, or just, I mean, I'm all for it, so.
I guess that's what I was trying to figure
My
out
two
too.
cents there.
Do we just say we're for it or against it, or how do we?
I mean, yeah, we definitely could. I mean, I'm totally good with you guys going to the next step. Anybody else think different? Good.
I'm good.
Sounds like it would be the best interest for our district and for our employees, so, yeah,
So we will start that process shortly, and we will keep you updated at where we're at with it, and certainly hopeful that we'll be able to get this approved relatively quickly, so that we can have it before those surplus allocations.
I do have a question. We're self-insured. UMRs are administrator. What do they do for us?
So they process the claims for us, as well as we also have EMD, who assists us with planning the financials of it and suggesting any potential changes to the plan. Those sorts of items are processed through our insurance committee as well, so any sort of proposed changes will be brought through the committee. And UMR helps process all of those, when somebody goes to the doctor and we have a bill, they process that, they tell us how much we have to pay into them, and then, the process kind of continues week to week.
And EMV?
And EMV. And EMV does, they help provide information to the insurance committee as well, so we do meet pretty regularly with them. And they're also helpful, so for example, in this presentation I had that slide on the cost historically over the past 10, 15 years. They help collect and provide that data to us so that we can make informed decisions about the plan and make sure it's still financially solvent.
They make recommendations on possibilities for the committee to consider to keep costs low, prescription costs, so on and so forth. They may give different strategies for that committee to suggest to keep our costs more regulated.
Correct, yes. And so actually this health insurance reserve is something that EMD brought up as a possible pathway to help ensure that the district can continue paying its share of the catalog plan that we have and continue offering that in the long term.
Who is the insurance committee? First I've heard of it.
So we have representatives from the bargaining units on there, as well as several administrators, so Mr. Khan might be able to speak a little more about it, but we do have various stakeholders from within the district, from people who are representing those on the plan, so that they can make those decisions as a group, and that we can all be on the same page and united in where we want the plan to go going forward.
There's a few things. We review data based on our plan. We talk about some underutilized tools we may have in our plan and how we're gonna get more staff to participate. We had a meeting actually a few weeks ago where we kind of laid out a bunch of tools that we want to bring up to the committee to start to roll out to staff so we can have some savings, some very cost-cutting things that we're not doing currently. We also, if there is a question about what our policy should cover, it would be the committee, our insurance policy, the committee that would review the data, review the information, E&D would present that information to the committee, and then it would be the committee that would vote on whether or not we want to include what wasn't previously covered in the plan. They're a brokerage for us as well, EMV, so if they have another company that they think we should be looking at, as far as, what did we do with Hartford? Hartford was our workers' comp.
Hartford was our workers' comp, correct. But E&D could, if UMR wasn't giving us the best deal, they would facilitate an RFP to be able to get those cost-saving measures if we were to, modify the plan.
Do we know if they review the health records to make sure that providers aren't overbilling or overquoting for services at all?
So that is incorporated into what UMR provides us as far as processing. So the claims are reviewed before they're paid for, and we verify that everything, matches and is compliant with what's currently in our plans.
Good question.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for the update.
Next item, the superintendent's report on District Coherence Council. Obviously, our meeting's on the 18th. This is the strategic coherence development for the goal by the end of January to have our updated plan. One of the things that we had previously was a member from the Board of Education, current sitting member of the Board of Education on the District Coherence Council. And the past person is no longer on the Board of Education, is going to be on there as a community member, but not as a board member. And so I wanted to ask if there's anybody interested in serving on that committee. The first meeting is on the 18th, and then somewhere here I have the other dates. Then we have a meeting October 16th, November 20th, December 18th, January 29th. Hopefully we'll be done then. 9/18,
Okay.
10/16, 11/20, 12/18, 1/29. No February meeting because it would be during the break. The other meetings for the year are 3/18. No meeting in April because it hit the April break, and then 5/13. And we can publish those for the break. So if there's anybody that would be interested, the meetings are at 4 p.m. They go to 4 to 5:30.
Are they
They'll
in
be
person?
here.
Yep, they're here.
In person here at the junior high school. So I don't know if there's any interest or if you want to ponder it.
Is anybody interested? If no one is interested, I can step up and do it. Or maybe there's interest that I'm not aware of.
Brendan,
Yes?
I'm thinking this would be a good one for me to step into, but I was wondering also, right now I'm doing audit, and some of the things, like coming across as the numbers, are a little hard for me to decipher, not being able to see them.
Okay.
So I didn't know if maybe someone would want to step into that if I stepped into this role.
Okay.
So I don't know, any other board members if you'd be interested in.
Mr. Deidre, being the vice president, would you like to step into the audit role?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you would be good doing
Yeah.
the strategic plan?
Just
How does that sound to my colleagues?
Yeah, I'm totally good with that.
Okay, so Mrs. Perry, got that? Awesome, thank you. All right. Thank you for stepping into that role, Tim.
Thank you. I try to do my best, but sometimes those numbers and tables, I'm like, okay. I'm reading it, but I don't know if I'm getting it.
Thank you. That was a quick conversation. And then finally, open houses are all listed on your agenda. The 19th is at Lanigan at 5 p.m. The 20th, Granby Elementary. They go till 6:30, so they're an hour and a half. They're up at the top. You can see, or it's not on there. Look at 6:30. It's 5 to 6:30. The 21st is Volney Elementary, 5 p.m. to 6:30. Fulton Junior High will be on the 28th, beginning at 5:30, and they'll go till 7. And then G. Ray Bodley, yes, that is a Friday. It's 9:29, and that starts at 4:30 and goes till 6 p.m. And then finally Fairgrave and their October date, that's kind of a tradition for some reason there, they like October. October 5th, 5 p.m. to 6:30 at Fairgrave. You're always welcome to come through. It's a great evening because you got families going through, opportunity to interact, see teachers interacting with kids. It's a very informal kind of process. They start to set up their appointments, you know, for conferencing, things like that. They also just get to hear about what's going on in the classrooms. And it's a great, and again, we always put that invitation out there, but more than welcome to attend.
Thank you for the invite.
Yep. And with that, that's the conclusion of the superintendent's report. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Polvino. All right, we're going to move on to our finance section. So if I can have somebody move action 4.01 to accept the financials.
Move it.
Second? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Passes 6-0-0. Action 4.02 is to dispose of our surplus property. Can I have somebody move that?
Move it. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. Moving on to new business. Action 5.01, approve committee on special education. Okay.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. 5.02 is to approve our contract with the City of Fulton Special Patrol Officer / our school resource officers. Somebody move that?
Move it.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Passes 6-0-0. 5.03 is to approve an extracurricular at the junior high, the Library Society.
Move it.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. Action 5.04 is to approve an extracurricular, which is the 7th through 12th grade jazz band.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. Action 5.05 is to approve the lead evaluators. Sorry.
Move it.
Okay. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. Okay, don't need to take a vote on this, but I just want to bring it up to your attention that our first reading for policies, there are 4 policies for us to look at. I don't know if there's any discussion on any of those tonight, but we will be voting on those at the next meeting. Right. Moving on to our personnel. So tonight, if we can start by batching I'll make sure I did this right. I think it's 7.3. Okay, so 7.01 to 7.13, would somebody like to move that?
Can I ask you a question first?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just curious about the process. I don't know if it's a process, past practice, or a policy of volunteer coaching or anybody working with our students before being board approved. So there's volunteer coaches that have been working with our students since like July. And we've had quite a few board meetings before now to approve them. And I know that in years past, before anybody was allowed to work with our kids, they were to be certified in first aid, CPR, and board approved before they could have any contact with our students. So I don't know if I've missed something and that has changed, or if that is something that we might have overlooked. I'm unsure.
Are we just talking about volunteer coaches?
Yes, that's on this
Okay.
board meeting right now, yeah.
I think one of the issues is that we tend to we get information to you guys for what's going to be on the board agenda Wednesday afternoon, we ask from supervisors to have all that into us. The board meeting is 6 days later. And sometimes we have somebody in addition who comes in after we already have the agenda to Ms. Perry, who then sends it out to you. Sometimes we do start people prior to board approval. In this case with the volunteer coach, it was a person who had assisted in the district prior, a person who we knew as a teacher from another district, a person who had students and family that have come through the district.
Right.
As a volunteer unpaid coach without any information having to be entered into the system, we allowed her to start working with the coach under the supervision of the head coach prior to board approval, which we have to do in certain cases for our staff as well. Just because we have 32 certified or instructional and non-instructional staff that work directly with students, that since we had a 3-week gap, we needed to start in schools on the first day. That's one-to-one aides, that's teachers, that's teaching assistants. The effect of having 32 open spots in our schools for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, as long as it would have taken to get them in there today, would have been pretty detrimental to our students. And so in this case, we did start a lot of people prior to board approval, which is why you see the dates previous to today.
Yep. I did see that, and I can definitely appreciate that. I guess my concern is there's a couple, at least 2, that have been working with our students since the summer that we've had board meetings.
When in the summer, because the fall season started in late August.
Because they've been working with them over, like with camps and summer league.
Did the district
Camps are
run?
technically
You didn't
The
run
camps,
camps.
but I personally got Fulton girls soccer, and then the list of the coaches. So to me, that is through the school. And I'm happy that these people are volunteering. I really
Fulton City
am.
School soccer or just the
Fulton
city of
City.
Fulton?
Does it say Fulton City School District or?
Yes, it was open for JV and varsity players of the Fulton girls soccer program.
I think what may be somewhat of a solution, because I don't think anybody is upset about having volunteer coaches, right?
Correct.
Or the people that are in these positions.
Correct.
I think it's just when the season starts, this, even if it's something, even if they're not technically board approved, if we're made aware of who is going to be coaching, because we appoint our coaches in the spring, no, for the fall.
Okay.
Or over the summer, right? So I think if it's just brought to our attention a little bit more quickly, is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yes.
Because the way that the board, like, the way the meetings fall and when you have to have the information in for each meeting and stuff, there's gonna be time lapses, but I think,
I completely appreciate that, for sure, but I feel like it's sort of inconsistent. I mean, I know from personal experience, a teacher in the district was not allowed to have contact at all with a team until they were first aid, CPR, and board approved, period, and he works at the high school.
Did it have anything to do with fingerprint clearance? You're talking about a teacher or as a coach?
A teacher.
As a coach?
A teacher could not work with a team.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yes. So I'm just wondering if like something has changed, if we missed something.
So we have a policy that says that you, in certain circumstances, can approve before it comes to us as the board. We also have sometimes had where we add something the night of a board meeting. So if we find that we need to add someone the night of a board meeting after it's come through, perhaps we can make that.
Yeah, in this case, I make a decision that night, Nigel, because what happens is it really messes up all of the pieces in the board docs. So what we're trying to do is keep them as consistent as possible in the numbering. And I've worked with, and I've been talking to Mark about this, and each of our department heads, that we need to get these in. The name in this case that we're discussing came to us on the Thursday afterwards. That's the first time that name came forward to be a volunteer coach, which was after we had things in hindsight, after the discussions we've had, I would have just said, Jake, we're gonna add it. And it would just spend, because it takes about an hour. When it messes, it changes the order. But that's fine. What I don't want to do is make that a practice. I don't like it either.
Right.
I want to have people appointed in a timely manner. And as Mark did a good job explaining, is that there are districts right now, last year, we had examples where people, they looked at 2 different districts at the same time, and then they accepted at a district another one after they told us they were coming here, and then told us they weren't gonna be coming.
And
So I wanna make sure that we
yes.
lock people in.
I
And there's a
completely
commitment.
understand
Yeah, no, I
and
understand.
completely can do that, but it's not 1, it's 2.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I'm just,
Maybe we just need to have a conversation with our AD to get that out to the coaches, the head coaches.
Well, it
It's
wouldn't be,
important that.
it wouldn't be just the
It's
AD,
all
it'd be all
departments.
departments, because, and I think,
Right, well,
I think just to clarify, because we want to make sure that we don't go a full season or several months before something gets added on. I know that sometimes mistakes happen, but I think this is kind of where we're kind of seeing things in the past that's come in,
I
so
understand.
I can understand where you're coming from as well, but just keep in mind that we do have that one policy where there are circumstances where,
and I
and you
understand
do,
that.
you
I completely understand that, but
It
in
shouldn't
light
be
of
the
things that
It
have
shouldn't be the norm.
happened, right, I mean,
Mhm.
especially what happened last year, like that.
Yep.
Okay, and my second question is, I'm really happy that we have a teacher who is on a leave of absence, willing to coach and substitute. I don't think she's coaching this year, but she wants to substitute teach. If a teacher's on a leave of absence, do we have them?
It's
Come back
on
in
a
that- is
per
that
diem
okay?
basis, it doesn't count towards longevity, they don't receive benefits, they're basically independently contracted to come in and fill a
So
spot
you
when
can
they
take a leave
choose
of
to.
absence,
Correct,
but
'cause it's
still
not a
do
s-
like extra stuff for the district?
Yeah, it's not a full
Okay.
year salary position, so they're still able to.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just piggyback, I'm sorry, on Mrs. Mangle's first point, just to clarify, on our unpaid volunteer coaches, do those coaches still have to, go through CPR and fingerprinting and all those things as well? Yes, okay.
That person has all of the requirements.
I just wanted to make sure,
Yep.
thank you.
No, like it's not just like a certain person.
It's
No,
all
no,
of
I was
them.
just
all of
saying,
them.
I was saying general.
She asked about the volunteer.
Volunteer
Yeah, all
But it's all of them have to have
Yeah,
I just was wondering. if
anybody
maybe-
who's with our kids.
That's
And,
correct.
yeah, and just to make it clear, I am very happy and thankful that we have these people volunteering. I'm just wondering what the process is. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, so with that, if we can batch 7.01 to 7.13, somebody want to move that?
Move it.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passed 600. Then if we can batch 7.14 to 7.17, somebody want to move that?
Move it.
Second.
Fallon and Jen, okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Passes 501. Okay. Just make sure I didn't miss any. Okay. So then we will go ahead and we will be moving on to board forum. This is Hutchinson, would you like to start this evening?
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for the presentations. I wanted to ask a question because I actually was very excited. The junior high library society that we approved, at a future meeting, could we get what that is and what they're going to do? And that also popped in my head that I'm also under the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Covino, that our junior high library is closed currently to students, is that correct, for renovations?
I believe kids are still coming down to get things. I know that they're going to be replacing all of the, if you want to speak to that, Don or Jerry.
There will be a period where we'll be closed because we're going to be replacing a lot of the furniture, including the shelves in the back, so there'll be some minor construction.
Do we know when it will be
We don't
reopened?
yet.
It's in the
We don't
vehicle.
know yet, because we don't have the scope of work on that.
When we did our walkthroughs, we spoke to the librarian, right?
Yeah, she thinks mid-November, I mean, in all in good intentions, that's what we thought. She's about as excited as, she was so excited about to tell us
Yes.
that day about what the
She definitely
possibilities
has a
are going to
plan.
be for kids.
Oh, no,
For sure,
I mean,
yeah.
she's phenomenal, but I just want to make sure for students, is it open for students to come and grab books, I guess?
That we need to check on, I'm not sure exactly, but I would expect
For
it is,
now.
right now it is, because
For
we
now,
haven't
it's
started
right.
construction.
But we'll communicate when that
Yeah, we can get that. Yep.
And I think that is it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Ms. Mayville?
I really can't say enough good things about the walkthrough that I was really fortunate enough to be able to do at the high school and the junior high. I can't remember who said it, maybe Mr. DeJalorn, but the amount of just pure joy in each of the classrooms coming from the teachers and the students alike, I mean, it was there. And I hope we can keep that ball rolling because everybody seemed very happy to be there. They were smiling, they were motivated to do different things, they were actually communicating with each other. So I mean, that's huge. The cell phones were away. I mean, and they really didn't seem upset about it. It's just an expectation. It's the honeymoon period, correct. But they didn't seem like, they weren't having, it wasn't a big deal. You know, you say an expectation, you expect that to happen, and I really think that they'll follow suit for the most part. So I'm excited for a great school year. It seems like we have a lot of good things planned, and I'm excited to see what it brings.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Ms. Fablordo?
Yeah, I'm just happy that everyone is off to a good start this school year. The transportation department, huge shout out. We did the UPK and K orientation on Wednesday, and that went very smoothly, and it was very well done. I didn't hear of anybody not getting on a bus that should have been on a bus or anything like that, so was happy to see that, and you know, the schools look good and everyone is happy right now, so let's keep it going.
That's awesome. Mr. Connors?
I would just like to say again, great with the presentations. It was exciting to be a part of going around the schools and, you know, listening to the students, what they were doing, how excited they were to be there, full classrooms. Of course, I had my guide dog Lang, so that's always the highlight of the trip. There's a dog in our school. But I'd also like to, you know, do a shout out to, you know, the board. I think just even tonight, you know, our communication amongst ourselves and the community, I think, can improve every week. And I think if we can keep that up, keep the momentum going, just like everybody else in the district, you know, I'm looking forward to what the year's going to end for.
Thank you. Mr. DeJalorn?
Yeah, go back to the walkthroughs again. Thank you, Ms. Baldino, for the opportunity, and anytime you want to walk through, just give me a call. I'm always available. Jen, excuse me, Mrs. Mainville, again, the food service. You're right. One of the first things I noticed was how fresh everything looked, and how happy they were to be there. The staff, the food service people. Thanks for the health insurance reserve presentation. Learned a lot. I hope we can get through with it. If you need anybody, call Mr. Barkley, let me know. Mr. Baldino introduced me to him a couple of years ago, so I feel he got an in.
Thank you. Well, I am just so excited to see everybody happy back. I have had the opportunity after school to be out and running in the community and to see kids playing on the playground. To see the kids getting off the buses, it didn't seem to be as late as you were saying, which that's not late, but it seemed like it was earlier. And for them to come off those buses to meet their moms and dads and just the smiles on their faces and just to hear some of the little chatter and conversation throughout the day, we do seem to be off to a good year. I hope that they have the happiest of year. I am thankful for those of you who got to go on the building walkthroughs. Now that I know my schedule, I will be able to do some of those in the afternoons if you're available, so I would like to get in and do that. I had the pleasure of going to the opening day last week with your staff. I don't think I've ever spoke to maybe 700-ish people in my life, but to see and feel that energy, you guys, I mean, we have it going on here in Fulton, and I kind of want to come back, but I like doing what I do here too. So I just really am happy that the energy is there, and thank you for the update on the health stuff, that's a lot. I really do hope that that can go through. That seems like it will be a great thing for our district and for our employees. So I probably will ask you more questions later because it was just, there was a lot there. But yes, if you need anything from us, if you need us to reach out to Mr. Barkley as well, just let us know and we'll be able to help with that too. On top of that as well, the small city school stuff that's coming up, is there anything that we can be doing or reaching out to people in the community? Because I know that that will be something that we need to be pushing pretty soon. And what can we as board members be reaching out to? I mean, some of us work in districts that are not small city school, so maybe we can reach out and help in our own districts too.
We had a small cities today in preparation with the meeting of the commissioner on the 26th or 25th. And one of the things that Bill Lynch, who's the executive director of Small Cities, you all know Bill, and Elizabeth Biggerstaff, who's the person who is the person at Small Cities, they're putting together a package of materials to distribute at both NISBA and NISCUS. And we will also get that information to distribute to all of the districts in our locales as well. So we'll provide you that information. You'll be able to share that and reinforce that. I will share it with all of the superintendents. I plan on dealing with Onondaga County as well as Oswego County. And then we'll probably branch out to a couple other touching on Madison and such to make sure people understand that the importance of this legislation that's coming up in November and the impacts that it could have on tens of thousands of kids in small city school districts and our communities. So it's amazing that it's 2 years and it's coming up in November. I think we've got a great opportunity here, and I will share the information as soon as I have it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Paul. What are the books?
Oh, the books. So the books are the two books that the administrators read this year for our retreat, Leading with Intention. If you want to speak to either one of my partners over there, Jerry and Dom, and then Dare to Lead are just two good books that we read. We really focused on the leading with intention a great deal. I don't know if Jerry, you want to add anything, or Dom?
Sure. We selected the book as a follow-up to a year-long group study that we did through City BOCES on maximizing the impact of professional learning communities. City sponsored that multi-district event, and we met once a month after school hours with a consultant from Solution Tree to kind of lead us through some effective practices. We've been doing professional learning community work for a long time in Fulton, and it's always important just to keep honing that work and keeping that fresh. And so we chose Leading with Intention because it coincided very nicely with the work that we had been doing during the school year, and that led our discussions during our leadership retreat this summer, and then the strategic planning on our leadership priorities, which then feed building level goals as well. So hopefully you'll see a lot of consistency. And Dare to Lead is a Brene Brown classic, and that one was selected just to give us some additional motivation and inspiration for supporting and working with all of the people we come in contact with, from our students to our community partners and certainly our staff and our families.
Did all of your staff get these books, or just the ones who were in your group?
So our leadership, the administrator, the building and district level administrators got those books this summer. We did share them with the bargaining unit leaders and some of the teachers on special assignment who, like our administrative interns, for example.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. All right.
It is large print.
I was
I
like,
it wasn't an
that's because it's large print.
They sent us the wrong ones, and we all said, please don't send those back.
No, I
This is
like
so
this.
great.
The blood is very unbelievable. I don't know what we've been thinking.
It wasn't intentional, but it was beneficial.
Maybe this needs to be done more often.
Right, I've done that at the library
Yes.
before, where I've gotten a book and I'm like, why is it so thick? And then I like open it up and I'm like, oh, you reserved the large.
The audio book is fantastic.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I can't concentrate.
All right, well, thank you so much for that. We can move on to the second public forum, if anyone is interested in speaking on any of tonight's topics. All right, I guess then we will roll into our executive session. And then we will be back out for those of you who are still here waiting to close our session. So thank you for joining us. If you Say again? Do I need to move that? I need to move that we go into executive session because we may not all want to do that, so. Move it.
Oh, we have a choice?
No, we do not. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, passes 6-0. It was Jen and Fallon. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. We're going right down the hall? All right, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and adjourn our meeting, 9.01. Can I have somebody move that?
Move it.
Second. And that was Jen. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, passes 600. Thank you so much for joining us and have a great evening. 8:14.
All right, I'll see you guys later. See ya.
I have learned never to look at